But at the end of the day, like, it's just having a chat, you know what I mean? Alright, hello and welcome to another episode of Coffee with SamPaul. I'm still in the beautiful Victoria, Melbourne. We're at Degraves Espresson on Degraves Street in the city. And I'm joined today by a really cool guest. He's actually a long-time friend of mine. We started out rapping together in Adelaide, and he now moved to Melbourne to follow acting as another career path there. And welcome to the show, Nikolai Egel.
G'day guys, how are you? Thanks for having me. I appreciate being here.
No problem at all, man. It's a pleasure to have you on.
And I've never been to this coffee joint either, and it's fantastic. So
I'm just going to find out just how good, because I've heard good things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's what's up. Yeah, it's really good.
That's a good coffee, and I don't know. I obviously you can't tell by watching the show, but Nikolai and I both have got oat milk, which I was quite surprised by, because most people that I interview don't go the oat milk.
No, I'm just getting older, man, and I've been told it's better for me. So it's
lovely. I love it. I'm definitely way past that, so we're not going to go there.
Getting on. We've known each other since our early 20s, somewhere around then, something like that.
Been a minute.
Done numerous gigs together. So
yeah, we've even done some acting together.
We did do some acting together.
That's right. Yeah.
That was my first role as well. So there you go.
Oh, lovely. But I mentioned in the introduction, though, obviously the music connection that we've got.
Yep.
So let's kind of just, I guess, go with that to start with. So you're a hip hop artist of many years now.
Yep, absolutely. 100%.
You got a few releases out.
Yeah, I put one out in 2009, which is around the time we met. You were on that record as well, on one song. And I did another one, an EP in 2011.
Yep.
And then started writing another one, and was just completely indecisive for about 10 years until I finally got locked down here in Melbourne, and finally had time to decide on how I wanted to do it, and I did it, and I put it out on Spotify. So if you want to look up my name and give it a listen, you can.
I definitely recommend it.
I'm still going to be indecisive, and I'm re-recording it in the other way that I wanted to do it, and I'm going to put them both out and let people decide what they think is best. So
I think that's a common thing with a lot of artistic people. It's like, when is it really finished? You know?
Exactly.
I think we just have to put things out.
As a kid growing up as a big Star Wars fan, I always hated the way George Lucas went back and tampered with the original cuts of them. But now I totally get it. I'm 100% with him. I know 100% how he feels.
I mean, I get it, but I still don't like it.
no, I'm with you, but
I do like the way they're going with all now that Disney's taken over. I love how they've gone with all the side projects and offshoots and like the Mandalorian and that. So.
Yeah, 100%. Love that show. It's great.
So is that a role you would love to get if you have the opportunity in your acting?
That's why I started acting, man. I want to be a superhero. I've always wanted to play a Marvel hero. I grew up reading comic books, and you know what I was like. I've always been a big nerd and playing video games, reading comics, watching sci-fi movies is what I loved growing up. It's what I always wanted to do, and that's why I actually transitioned into acting, because I was over in the States and I wrote a whole bunch of music, and then I sort of hit a wall creatively. I'm sure you can 100% sympathise with that.
Most definitely.
And then I decided, what else can I do that's still creative that I always like doing, that might sort of get everything kick-started again. And I just remembered about acting in high school, when I liked it back then, so I went and did it, and sort of moved forward and got an agent, and now I'm over here doing that in a more professional capacity. So
look at that. Dreams do come true.
Oh well, we'll see how we go first.
I didn't say they were necessarily going to be everything we dreamed them to be, but you wanted to be an actor, you're acting.
I wanted to be a rapper, I'm rapping.
Exactly. Now you did mention just about going to the States. I obviously know a bit of that story, but
of course,
but share with us a little bit about that. You was it Tennessee, I think you said?
Yeah, Nashville. I sort of fell in love with that place, being over there. I mean, I basically travelled over and went to Canada, because as many Aussies do in their 20s, went and worked in Canada on the mountains. And this is back in the early 2000s. It's 2005, 2006.
Oh wow! Okay.
And at the time I was rapping and I was performing, but I was still a bit of a fledgling when it came to writing. So at the time I would post lyrics online on an online forum.
Oh God, that's going back.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you remember those. And I just got a lot of advice on there from other people who had been rapping for a lot longer than me, that had been had a lot more idea of flow. That was something I never really thought about growing up. I just wrote the words that sounded good. No, I wasn't really into flow as much.
Yeah, that's right.
And they gave me some tips, and they said, we like what you do. Maybe try this, or maybe don't try this. And I kept posting on this message board for years until I was over in Canada working, and then one of the guys that I'd known just by sharing song lyrics for a long time said to me, look, if you're in North America, I'm actually filming a video for a song that I'm doing. So if you want to jump the bus and come down, I'm more than happy to put you in the video, and more than happy to get to meet. And there was a couple of the guys there, because there was another guy who was from the Netherlands, funnily enough, was over it, who was on the song. And we sat there and we wrote, and I met like a whole bunch of people, and just found over there that in Nashville, they've got the history of country over there, and other things like punk and rock and that kind of stuff. But it's just such a musical city that doesn't matter what sort of music you make, people want to hear it. I mean, I had like 60-year-old rednecks with beards down looking like ZZ Top, saying, where can we come and listen to you do some hip hop? And I'm like, wow, that's something I definitely didn't get here, to a certain extent. There's a little bit of what's the word, music is, if you're into one genre of music here, a lot of the time there's not a lot of crossover. But over there it's very much just like, what are you doing, where can I come hear it, let's go. And that was great. I fell in love with it, and I've been back probably a dozen times over the past 10 years, and finally got a chance to go back this year. So
amazing. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was great. So
I do have to ask though, because as you mentioned, Nashville's known, particularly for country. Obviously a few other genres that you mentioned, but what made you choose that? Is that just where the guy was located?
It was, yeah. Okay. I mean, he was doing hip hop at the time. I mean, biggest artists to have come out of Nashville hip hop would have been, obviously Young Buck from G Unit back in the day. He was huge. And also Jelly Roll, who's doing a few things now. Doing a lot of records with guys like Tech Nine and stuff like that. Both big names that have come out of Nashville. So Nashville actually does have quite a rich hip hop scene, and lots of other things as well. Lots of very much dance type music as well over there, electro stuff as well. So despite the fact that they are more famous and have the bigger names coming out of country, like I said, because it's such a city that's built on music, every sort of music genre thrives there. And this is just where this guy happened to live. He lived in the area, and I went there and saw him, stayed with him. Actually spent my first Thanksgiving over there with him and his family, which was a bit of a culture shock.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was. And just sort of moved forward from there and met other people and have worked with people of multiple genres over there.
I have to also ask something because I feel like I might know who this person is. Is that Lion from the Lake?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we sort of fell out of touch a while back. He doesn't have any kind of social media anymore, and I don't really know how to contact him anymore.
Okay.
But yeah, unfortunately, it seems like a lot of the people who I fell out of touch with, it's hard to find. I mean, there's Deadly Siege. You remember Deadly Siege back in the day? I haven't been able to find hide nor hair of him for about 10, 12 years, and I actually put a TikTok out recently just saying if anyone out there knows how to get in contact with him, please let me know, because he's a good friend for years. It's just through moving around a lot, we never really had a chance to stay in touch.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's funny, in a world of all this communication, yet if someone chooses not to kind of participate in it, it's so easy just to fall off the face of the earth in a way.
I mean, someone even wrote on the video that he was shot dead in Melbourne, and I tried to find any evidence of that, and I couldn't find anything. So I think maybe he was just making stuff up, or maybe he might have been confused with someone else. But I don't know. That's what I said, because I know he wasn't in the best of health when I last saw him. So I just wanted to make sure if he's still around and if he's doing okay. So it was.
Well, if anyone's watching and you know of Deadly Sea or Lion from the Lake, please do reach out.
Yeah, please.
See if we can reconnect them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a long time, man, and I'd love to see my friends again. So it's been nice to have you over here too. So
thank you. Yeah, it's been good to be here, man. Like I've actually been staying with Nikolai while I've been in Melbourne, which has been an absolute godsend. He's got the best location. I had some interviews to do in Brunswick, and it was literally one tram the whole way. It was like friggin' amazing.
Yes,
I love
good,
those kind of. I love it. It was so good. But we should probably talk a bit about acting too, because
Yeah.
I know obviously we have done a film together.
We have
we
done
won't
one.
mention any more than.
Oh, no, I think we can. It was cool. It actually had 2 titles.
yeah,
I'm not
it
sure
did.
what it actually ended up being called in the final cut, but we knew it as House of Hearts growing
That's right.
up, and I think it was actually called Crazy Blind Love.
That's right.
By
And
the end of it,
it comes up as both on IMDb.
where we played, funnily enough, mentally handicapped people living in a group
Special
home.
needs.
Yeah, special needs. That's probably a better word. Sorry.
all right.
You've got me on the spot here, so I'm freestyling. So
That's right. You're a rapper.
special needs Pete's. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good experience for me. I'd never done any acting before, and
Yeah.
it kind of sparked something in me that made me want to do more. I've actually done a short film since then.
Yeah.
And you know, the people we met on that, you know, have been incredible.
I still talk to them to this day. So, you know, a lot of the stars. Unfortunately, the director had his issues,
Which is why the name changed of the film partly.
I think it was. Well, he actually ended up getting charged with some stuff. But let's not go there. That's,
I can edit that out anyway.
That's neither here nor there.
But obviously, you know, you've been pursuing it. You said you've got an agent now.
I do.
So
Yep.
So obviously you can't be doing too badly.
I'm not.
So what's some of the big things you've done that people might know of?
First big thing I did is I got to do an episode of Romper Stomper, the series Romper Stomper, when they remade that in a series for Stan a couple of years ago.
I do remember that.
I played a cop in the last episode where I had one line, but that was still pretty fun, especially considering I was driving down Punt Road at 70 k's an hour with 2 guys in the back of the car with cameras in peak hour traffic. So that was an experience.
Yeah, no doubt, man. That's awesome.
And then did a few other things, some really good short films, worked with a lot of really talented people. But the big thing is now I was on Neighbours. So I played the science teacher at the high school, Marty, and I followed that up with reprising the character in the spin-off, Erinsborough High, which is...
Oh, I did wonder that.
Yeah, it's on 10 Play still, so if you ever want to watch it, just go online, it's free to watch. But I don't know if I should say this to you, but I am going to be reprising the character in the reboot of Neighbours coming up in the next couple
That's
of
really great to hear. That's really great to hear. Because at this age, the only reason I really ever was watching Neighbours was because you were on it. I won't lie.
Look, I'm not going to lie. I didn't watch a lot of it either myself. Outside of that, I mean, I was familiar with the stories and the storylines. I had to be, but you know, I just don't have time to watch any shows these days. Let alone let alone one that was on at 6:30 when I'm usually travelling home from work. So it is what it is. But
just as an aside, though, obviously I'm not going to edit till after the 12th.
Yeah, of course.
So
you're already
covered on that.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure.
That's fine.
I don't want to get in trouble.
No, it's fine.
I'll edit that part out.
I think it'll be fine. Yeah. It's
well, I'll confirm with you before I make it go live.
correct. Yeah, it's all good. No, it's fine.
And so is there anything you're reading for at the moment? Any auditions you got coming up?
I did an audition recently for funnily enough, it was for an SBS series called Erotic Stories. And I know when you look at me, I scream like an erotic man. But but no, it was actually a really funny role. It was for there's a girl. They're all episodic, so each episode is a different story.
Yeah.
So this one was a girl who is supposed to be the sperm donor for me and my homosexual lover, and I am a gay Scottish man who lives in Sydney. So I did actually have to practice the accent for a couple of days. I did do it. They said, if you're not comfortable, just do it in your natural accent or do a British accent or something like that. But I actually can do an okay Scottish accent. I'm not going to do it here because I've had coffee and it requires a lot of tongue stuff.
Fair call.
And geez, that sounded bad. But
no. Anyone that's done accents, I think, would understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, especially with the R's, because they say you have to do like what's called a tap R. So it's right. No, but you don't. That was a roll. So it's a alright, and you have to tap your tongue on the top of your mouth. So that was bad, by the way. Don't judge me on that one. But
I actually, interestingly, I actually had to do. I'm pretty sure a Scottish. Is Shrek Scottish?
Shrek's Scottish.
I actually had to do a Shrek Scottish accent during my audio engineering.
Oh, really?
We took a segment of a film and we had to remove all the audio. I'm talking sound effects, background noise, and obviously characters' voices. And then each of the people in the group had to then to get collectively add in all the sound effects and everything. So we did the scene where Shrek's getting attacked by the guards. He just walked in with Donkey, and so one of the guys got to do Donkey, and I think one of the girls did another character, and so on and so forth.
That's awesome.
And I somehow I picked Donkey because he only had one line, and then somehow next minute I'm doing Shrek, who had quite a few lines. And it was really funny because speaking of going, using your original accent, I'm doing the part, and then I stuffed something up, and I went, oh fuck. But when we looked back in context of the footage, it actually really worked, even though I lost the accent for that particular word.
Oh, that's funny.
My lecturer told me to leave it in. He goes, man, it's worked.
That's good. That's it. So, and at the moment I'm about to, before I go back to Neighbours, I'm about to play a role in a feature film that's being shot here. It's called CCTV Nasty.
Oh, nice.
It's going to be a really good project.
What's the genre?
I believe it's like a thriller mystery type thing with a bit of comedy in there as well.
Oh, nice.
And I'm going to be playing a character called Star. He's a homeless man, hence why I look like a homeless person. And I've got this beard and my hair's cut. And I dye my beard if I was growing it for myself because I don't like the greys too much in there. But
Tell me a funny story about an audition. We were talking the other night, and you mentioned about something about an axe.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, some of the auditions you get sent, like, I get sent a lot of auditions because I get a lot of auditions for commercials.
Yeah.
And I really despise auditioning for commercials because they don't really even judge you on your acting ability. It's like, do you look like what we think you want them for?
Yeah.
Yes, then you can have the job. Or have you done a commercial before? Yes. Okay, then you're probably going to be all right.
Yeah.
So it's really annoying because it doesn't really give me a chance to act. You just sort of either stand there or you just, but it pays the bills if you get them, so that's always nice.
Yeah.
But there was one, and I remember it was in the middle of lockdown. It was like, it was the hard lockdown where you couldn't go more than 5 k's from your house, and it was around Christmas time. And in this particular audition, they wanted me to play a lumberjack, which is fine, I look exactly. So they wanted me to play this lumberjack, but in the audition it says, we need the person to have their own axe and wood, and we need to see them chopping it so that we can see that they can actually do it in the commercial. And I'm like, it's the middle of lockdown, and I live in an apartment. Where the hell am I going to get an axe from? Let alone a log. Like, I mean, if I had an axe, I could have just wandered out to the park maybe and just started wailing on a tree. But it's, I don't know, man. Some of them are just ridiculous at times. But it is the nature of the job. They have certain things they want to see before they cast you, which is understandable.
Yeah.
Some of them are embarrassing. I've had to do commercial auditions in my underwear. I don't think anyone enjoyed that, myself or the casting people, but it happens. And
job, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's what you sign up for. You got to love it, otherwise you're gonna not enjoy it at all. So, yeah.
Oh, awesome, man! And just quickly before we finish up, music. What's happening? You mentioned obviously you're going to re-record the album in a different way.
So basically, because I was writing it during lockdown, I had it set out in 2 separate ways. There was one really long form album where it was a lot of me just reminiscing and not even really using flow that much, just saying as many smart words as I could and trying to sound good. But I realise now, and that was the one I put out, and I like it, but I realise now it was the quantity over quality. And I think one thing that I realised, especially being in Tennessee, one of my buddies said to me, let's go play some songs at an open mic, let's go make some, go do some live gigs. And I realised after that there was not one song from that show, that album, that I could actually do as a live song. And so I realised, I went back and sort of listened to the hip hop I started growing up with, like the Eminem Show and Dre 2001 and Exhibit's Restless and Ludacris, back in the day.
Luda.
And Luda. And it's all really catchy songs, 16 bars, 8-bar, 4-bar hooks, that kind of thing. Punchy and stuff you can sing along to, and not going as fast as you can, which is what a lot of stuff these days is. And I really decided I'm going to go back to doing that. So I'm restructuring my old album in a way like that, and I've got a new one that I'm writing as well, which is along the same lines.
Awesome.
So really looking forward to it.
We'll put some links up to your Spotify and
absolutely,
can reach you.
And don't worry, I've got some tracks to send you once I get them tonight as well. So you're going to be part of it as well. So that's going to be good.
Nice one. I'm very honoured, man. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
Hey, listen, thank you so much, Nikolai.
That's all right, man.
For joining me today on Coffee with SamPaul.
All good.
Thank you to Degraves Espresso for letting us set up camera.
Perfect.
As always, the coffee's amazing.
Sick.
As always, I don't ask permission, I just come and do it, and they generally are okay with it, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much, man. Wish you all well with everything, and obviously, we'll stay in touch.
Of course.
And if I get back to Melbourne, we'll do a follow-up.
And when I get back to Adelaide, we'll do the same.
Sounds good, man.
All right.
Awesome, man.
See you soon, man.
Peace.
Woo!
Don't go deep in the water.
One of the other, anyway. But at the end of the day, like, it's just having a chat.